Hey there, so we're going to be talking about on-page optimization and how do we optimize our website pages to perform better in search, to help search engines better understand what our site's about, what our specific pages are about, and how they can really benefit the end user. So this is a site that I've created, and it's just a one-page site right now, and it's built on WordPress. And so WordPress has got a number of plugins that we can use that are really easy, to optimize site pages. It really takes some of the harder work, the coding work, out of search. So back in the day, before we had all these CMSs, you used to have to do a lot of this by hand, and some people still like to do it by hand, and that's totally fine. But if you want a really flexible site, WordPress is a great CMS to use to make sure that you do it the right way. You want to make sure that it's obviously secure, but with some of these plugins, you can really optimize your site pages and really take your site to a whole new level. But before we get into the WordPress plugins, I do want to talk a little bit about the code behind it and kind of looking at what's going on behind the scenes when we're talking about this on-page optimization. So what we have right here is just a very simple code. This is just straight HTML. There's no styling added to it, and this is really what is going on behind all of the style, all of what people see when they look at a web page. So typically what you have is you've got three different levels. You've got the head, which is up here, and it's going to go from the head open tag to the close tag. Then you've got a body, and this is typically where the content of the website is housed. The main content is going to fall into the body. And then lastly, you've got the footer, and this is obviously the bottom of the web page, and usually there's some links here or maybe widgets or some other kind of information. But typically it's not the most important part of the page. Most of the most important content is going to lie inside the body. Now, what the HTML is telling computers, the internet, it is telling them the content. It's telling them how the page is styled, how it's marked up, where things should be. It's also a place where we can inform the search engines about our page. So title tags are one of the most important things when it comes to SEO, and this is done within the header tag, and it's just done with a simple title tag. And again, we want to make sure that it's keyword optimized, that our main keyword is up at the front, that our brand is at the end. We're not going over those 60 characters. Now, right below that, you can add a number of different meta tags. And for the purposes of this, we're going to look at the description tag, and this is what it looks like. Meta name equals description, and then we put the content in. Again, about 156 characters, and we want to make it be actionable, very descriptive, very call to action oriented. Now, I also added, an H1 tag. So this H1 tag, we want it to kind of complement our title tag, and this is really what the main, the title that the user typically sees, like on a hero section of a page. Then we've got some content, and I even threw in an image here because oftentimes this is something that we miss, is image optimization, and you want to have the file name as well as the alt text to be optimized. This helps the search engines understand the image and understand what that image is supposed to be. So this is basic what the code looks like behind the scenes when you're optimizing. And if you have a site that's done in HTML, or you're kind of not using a typical CMS, this is what you would do. You would go into the code and you would optimize it with meta descriptions, with different other meta tags, with adding in alt text and title text, and making sure that the markup is done here. But with the help of WordPress, we can actually use some really cool plugins. So I'm going to show you how to find the plugins, as well as how do we set them up. So you want to log into your WordPress site. Now, if you're new to WordPress, this left navigation is really going to be very helpful for you. This is really where you're going to find everything. Post is going to be your blog. Media is going to be your media manager. So this is where images, PDFs, anything you upload is going to be really into this media bin. You've got your pages, which is your website pages. Comments, if you're allowing comments on your blog, you can monitor those here. Appearance is where you're going to customize or choose the theme, as well as add widgets, change your menus. In plugins, this is where we're going to really add the extras. So we're going to go ahead and just click plugin. I've just got 2 installed, and the first one we're going to look at is WP Meta SEO. So we're going to actually look at both Yoast and WP Meta. So let's start with this one. It's a little bit of a easier setup. Just click on install, and WordPress is going to do its thing and install it. Now we also have to activate it. So if you don't activate it, it's not really being used. It's just kind of sitting there. So once we hit activate, now we can actually go in and use this really cool tool. Now, as you see over here on the left hand side, a new option is opened up for WP Meta SEO. So if you click into the dashboard, what it's going to do, it's going to tell us a little bit about the site. Have we optimized our permalinks? So have we optimized the way the linking structure of the site is done? Now, this is a brand new site, so I haven't done any work to it. We've got HTML images that need to be resized. We've got new content we need to add. There's no 404 errors, so we don't have any of these things. So we're all 100% good. But as you can see, what it's doing is it's looking at not just the content, but it's also looking at the images. It's looking at how often we update. Do we have any broken links? That's what I really like about this tool. It's a little less intuitive. It doesn't do as much for you as Yoast would, but it really does get to the heart of SEO. It's what I really like. It's got this really great optimization tool where you can actually do the meta tags and title tag descriptions here in bulk. I really like the way that this is done. It's got a sitemap generator, so you can create an HTML sitemap. You can save those and generate them. You can look at your image information. Again, you can look at all the images that you have installed and what's the alt tech, what's the title. You can add a little bit more information. Very, very cool tool. You can actually change the image name, file name. So maybe you uploaded a bunch of images, but you didn't change the file name. So now, it's not really optimized. Well, you can actually change that right here with this tool. You can do image compression, which is great. A lot of times we load these images to our site, but they're too big and they slow the site down. This is one of the most common problems I see when a site is really slow, is they've got these huge images. So you just, image recycle, you add this in, and then you can do that right in here. Really cool tool. Link editor. This is going to look at the links on our page, and it's going to tell us, do we have it linked right? What's our linking title? What's our linking text? 404 redirects. Do we have pages that need to be redirected? Do we have 404 issues? You can set up Google Analytics to actually track and or add your JS code. So maybe you need to add your analytics code, but you don't really know where to put it. You can actually put it right here using the JS code, or you can just use your account reference. So they make it pretty easy. And again, they've got a settings like most of these. You can add your homepage title, your Facebook, your Twitter, as well as a number of other options. So they've continued to really grow this tool, and it's really quickly become my favorite SEO tool for WordPress. I use this more often than any other SEO tool on WordPress. I don't work for them. I don't get kickbacks from them. I happened to find it one day, and it's been really, really a great tool for me to use and my team to use. But this isn't the most popular one. Probably the most popular one is Yoast. So let's go ahead now and take a look at Yoast. Again, we're going to click on plugins. And now I don't want to have 2 SEO tools running at the same time, so I'm going to go ahead and deactivate this one. Even though this site, I'm really not doing a lot of marketing around it yet, because again, we just built it mainly for this purpose, and hopefully grow some stuff off of it as well, just see how it works. But I'm going to go ahead and type Yoast here, and again, they've got a number of plugins you can use. Yoast has a number of plugins, but the one you want to look for is just Yoast SEO. Again, hit install. As you can see, pretty quickly, hit activate. Now, once again, over here on the left-hand side, we're going to see the Yoast show up. Now, you've got a couple different settings. You can go deep with Yoast and kind of customize it, or you can just kind of use their general settings. They have a configuration wizard that you can do. It's a pretty decent configuration wizard. It's a step-by-step process, but what I like to do is a little bit of some customization to the tool. It's got features, so what do you want them to give you suggestions on? You can also obviously upgrade and premium. Everybody's got those today. One of the great things they have is the webmaster tool verification. So if you have a website and you're serious about ranking in search, you need to be using Search Console. You want to be looking at Bing Webmaster Tools. You're just going to uncover a lot of data on how your site is performing in search. So you need to verify these, and sometimes people have trouble verifying these. Well, Yoast lets you just copy that verification code into here instead of uploading a file to your site or trying to verify through another means, and it makes it really quick and easy. So here's the dashboard, the general features. Typically to get access to some more of the features, we go through this configuration wizard. You can restore to default. You really can't break anything, which is great. I like to enable the advanced settings because now I can go, and you see here I'll have a lot more options. This allows me just to customize a lot more. So I can go to my titles and meta, and I can say how I want things separated. I can set a default for the home page if I wanted to. I can go to the different posts and set like these strings. So like say I want to have a title written a certain way. I can also go to taxonomies. Maybe you don't want to index your categories and your tags or your format. You can actually no index these, which means we won't have the search engines crawl them. And sometimes this is a really good thing to do because sometimes tags and category pages can produce duplicate content, and you don't want to have duplicate content. So you can go ahead and have that content on your site, but just tell the search engines not to index it. Again, the same with archives. You can create an XML sitemap. This is great that you can then submit to Search Console, so Google will then crawl your page in the way that you want them to crawl it. You can also exclude certain things, certain post types. Maybe you don't want to include your media in there. That's kind of set by default. So the default settings are pretty decent. You can turn off again these if you don't want to have them indexed. They've got some other advanced settings. Do you want to enable breadcrumbs, permalink, optimization? So again, this is your permalink would be how it's displayed the back end of this. So you want to get rid of variables or certain things to make them just look better, easier for people to use. Great tool for that. RSS feature. This is how your site is. If you sending it to a feed to be syndicated, you can optimize it right here, which I highly recommend doing that, especially if you're going to be an active blogger, to optimizing your RSS feed, and Yoast helps you do that. You also have some other tools in here. You have a bulk editor, kind of like we had in WP SEO, but it's a little bit different. As you see, if you log into here, you can here's all the titles, and then you can do all the descriptions. So they don't let you see it side by side. I like WP Meta a little bit better because I can see my title and my description and kind of sync them up. Even though you can see them, it just makes it a lot easier when they're right next to each other, in my opinion. You can also see Search Console alerts and data and information if you authorize it here. So when you put your access code in, you authenticate, it allows you to get Search Console information, which is nice, so you don't have to go back and forth to a lot of places. So this is a brief overview of Yoast and kind of what it does. There's way more that you can do. You can go much more in deep, and if you want to, you can go premium and do a lot more. But that's really the basics of it. So how would we use these tools to optimize a page? All right, so let's take a look at this page right here, and you'll just click edit. Now this page is using a front-end builder, so we're not going to have anything in the text editor, but as you see right underneath here, you're going to see Yoast SEO, and WP Meta SEO works very similar. You're going to see a box just like this, and you want to optimize this page for search. You want to make sure that you're telling your story in the right way. So here's what we do. You just simply click on this, and it's going to open this up. As you can see, Yoast has that string. Well, I don't want that string to be my title tag, so I'm going to go make my own. So you can optimize it any way you want. You want to make sure that these are descriptive. You want to have your SEO title, what's the keyword that you want to really you search for at the front, and kind of less important terms at the end. Great thing is, probably my favorite tool in the whole world too right now is Grammarly. It really makes sure that you have grammar and spelling correct no matter what you're really doing online. So if you're typing a lot and you're doing a lot of marketing, you want to make sure that your content's really good. Grammarly is a great tool, so I highly recommend that too. So one of the cool things that Yoast does is you see this little green line. When I was back here, it was orange, which means I didn't really have enough content. Once I hit green, it's saying, okay, this is looking really good. And now it shows me a snippet preview. So this is what it's going to look like in the SERP. So this is a really good way to make sure that you don't go over on your title tags or your meta descriptions, but it also makes sure that you have enough. Another common problem is people don't have long enough title tags. They don't give enough information to the search engines. Now, the reason on-page optimization is important, you're having a chance to tell the search engines about your site, who you are, what you do, and why they should index you, why they should have you hire for a specific query. This is your chance to talk directly to the search crawlers. So Yoast is going to really help make sure that you have enough content and have enough, just enough behind it to really rank. It's also going to give you a little bit more analysis here at the bottom. Now this page doesn't have a lot of content because right now it's just a landing page. There's no internal links, but it's going to give you a couple other really cool on-page optimization factors that you really should consider. Do you have an outbound link right now? Well, no. There's no images on this page that contain an alt attribute. There's no, so basically it's saying, hey, you need to do a little bit more optimization. And what'll happen now is if I hit update, it's going to post that live. Now, if I want to get a score right here, which says SEO not available, I need to put a focus keyword. So let's say my focus keyword is hack my growth. Now, my SEO score is okay, which means it's just okay. It's not great. This is a really cool thing to do. So you want to put your target keyword in here if you're using Yoast, and then check your score to see how you're matching up and what more you can do to optimize your page. Now, just optimizing it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to rank, but it is definitely going to help you if you have a better optimized page. Now, remember we talked about the code before. So now let's take a look and see what Yoast did in the background. This is what all of the plugins are going to be doing for you well, I know for sure Yoast does, and WP Meta SEO and a couple other SEO ones do. So make sure you're using a good plugin, one that's known by others. All right, so here's our document HTML type. Here's our head. As you can see, there's a couple other things going on in here. One, it's a WordPress site, so you've got some of the WordPress install features here, like the ping back and that sort of thing. I've got a style sheet that's being called to responsiveness. But here's my title tag. Remember? That's exactly what I typed in to the Yoast. Now again, this site is optimized with Yoast. So here's my description that I added. Click here for more. It also added a link real canonical saying that this is the main page for this piece of content. It means I don't have any other content that's like it on the page. That if you're looking for hackmygrowth.com, this is just that page. This is the main page. Yoast also added a number of other meta properties. They added some OG tags, open graph tags, which are for social. They've added some Twitter card information. So if this site gets shared on social, it's going to pull the right content. See, it's pulling in an image that I have on that page right here, where it's going to use that image in the link when it gets shared. Here's the Twitter description. It's going to use the same description that I added up here. So that's another really nice feature that Yoast really gives is these other factors in optimization that you may not have thought of, like social optimization. So it kind of takes a lot of these things into account for you, so you're not having to type all of this right here into the head of the site, and you don't have to know all of these in-depth pieces of code. So this is a brief overview of how to optimize your site using Yoast or WP Meta, one of these WordPress plugins. And you want to do this to every single page of your site, every single blog post. You want to make sure that you have a unique title tag. You want to make sure that this image here has an alt tag, your logo has an alt tag. You know, really covering all your bases to make sure that you're giving the search crawlers the right information to get your site ranked. Hope you enjoyed this video.
Hack my